Welcome to the motherfucking relay. We're covering today's top boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this. What appears to be Mikaela Mayer's plan of action now that she's suffered her second professional loss. She says her plan A is a rematch with Natasha Jonas, and her plan B is the winner of Sandy Ryan versus Terry Harper. But she's also open to other offers. She'll move up to 154 if a title becomes available.
There's no grieving this time.
For a few reasons, this loss doesn't feel as bad as the Baumgartner loss. I walked into that fight as the challenger, and I walked away from it as a challenger, so nothing has been taken away from me. So I still feel as though I am in position. It's a new weight class, so there are still lots of opportunities for me. 99% of people have my back and thought I won the fight. It was such a good performance that it was still a big positive for my career. I was really proud of my performance. Nobody can take that away from me. My worth has still retained itself despite not having a belt and despite not getting the victory over Natasha.
In my head, my first thought was to get that rematch, so I didn't want to be too harsh. Mayer says of those fleeting, hard post-fight comments. I have a lot more respect for Tasha than I do for someone else who we won't mention.
She's talking about Alicia Baumgartner,
who is set to have her provisional suspension by way of the ABC Commission lifted in a little over a week's time.
But I thought you said the commission never suspended her.
I said the Michigan Unarmed Combat Commission never suspended her. The ones who actually issue out boxing licenses. They didn't, but the ABC Commission did. In any event, Mikaela said I have a lot more respect for Tasha than I do for someone else who we won't mention. Tasha is still a nice person, regardless of what happened. You can tell that just from her post-fight interview. She seems like a good, down-to-earth person. I see her as the type of person who would give me a rematch if the fans demanded to see it. So I thought, let me get the fans on my side with my speech. I wanted to get everyone excited immediately for another fight. You have to do it for the fans. They want to see a rematch. It's wanted. It's warranted. And that's when a rematch should happen. I'm not gonna lie, it does deter me a little bit to go back over there to the United Kingdom because of what has happened to me twice before, but I need that belt for leverage to then come back to America and do what I need to do. It might be that I am stuck out there until I can get back that belt. If Natasha gives me that rematch, it probably won't be in Liverpool, but it will be in the UK. Or if I fight the winner of Sandy Ryan and Terry Harper, they are both matchroom fighters, and that will likely be in the UK also. But I do want to be in the place where the fight sells the most. It made sense to fight Natasha in Liverpool, so I do want to keep a fight where it gets the most eyes. And it's smart, but it comes at a cost. Fighting these fighters on UK soil, they will have home field advantage, and Mikaela's going to be the away fighter.
At the same time, is Top Rank willing to pay what they need to pay to bring those fighters to America? Being honest, I don't think so.
It's been going back and forth in my head. If I had been protected in that fight with Baumgartner and not had my belts taken from me, I would be in a very different position right now.
By protected, I'd wager she's talking about having a rematch clause incorporated into the contract. It's still surprising that there wasn't one.
But everything happens for a reason. It would have kept me at 130 for too long had she won, so maybe in the long run it's better. But I went over to the UK to be on an amazing all-female card and be on a great event, and I did that. But then this is boxing. You're not going to get robbed on your own card with your own promoter, but I don't want to be that kind of fighter. I want to take risks and go where the fights are going to sell and be a part of big events like that. But I shouldn't be thinking, will I be protected there? That's just the sad part of boxing. I don't want to live my career that way.
As it pertains to moving up to 154, junior middleweight,
if they came knocking at my door with the money and a title, then I would consider moving up to 154. But it's not my first choice. My first choice is staying at 147 and fighting these girls where I feel comfortable. This feels like a bump in the road. I'm not discouraged. I think I look good in the fight. I did think I would be high risk, low reward, but I think they will still be rewarded for fighting me. I have built up my name and my career enough to still be a desirable matchup for anyone, and people will still be paid well to fight me. It sucks not knowing. That is the most frustrating part, the suspense of not knowing who is going to be next. I don't have the security of knowing what's next.
I don't think it's gonna be Natasha. Michaela said a rematch with Natasha is plan A, and the winner of Harper versus Ryan is plan B.
But I am open to other offers. If there is a title available at 154, then I would go there. We are discussing things. I got 2 calls before I even left the UK. I want to stay busy, but I don't want to go back to taking fights that don't inspire me against opponents that nobody knows. It's not what I want to do. I'll do what I have to do.
If I have to go to 154, I will.
And, I'm not sure that she's going to get that Tasha Jonas rematch. Her fighting the winner of Harper versus Ryan depends on her willingness to cross over to Matchroom, as they would be the ones bankrolling the show. And I don't think Michaela really likes the idea of that, even if she's putting it out there. Going up to 154 and fighting for a title there, I think, would be reliant upon Top Rank paying for it, and Top Rank securing the title and or the opponent.
So let's say that a title becomes available at junior middleweight. Michaela fights somebody for it, becomes a champion herself up there. Terry's a champion up there. Even if her next fight is at welterweight, she's still WBA champion at junior middle.
I feel like, win or lose against Sandy Ryan, Terry Harper is a potential opponent option for Michaela Mayer at 147 or 154.
Femke Hermans is IBF champion up there. She's not a particularly expensive opponent to secure.
Just wonder how invested or uninterested Top Rank are in continuing to promote Michaela Mayer. Is that a fight they're willing to make?
Is it?
Because if it isn't, she's at the mercy of the Brits for her next fight. Men's heavyweight news. I'm sure that most of you have heard by now that Tyson Fury versus Alexander Usyk on February 17th, later on this month, will be shown live on TNT Sports pay-per-view, DAZN pay-per-view, and Sky Sports pay-per-view in the UK, with fans able to buy the fight through all 3 major boxing broadcasters in the UK.
Here's where it gets interesting.
It will be on DAZN pay-per-view in the United States and worldwide in all of their territories they operate in. What's interesting is that there's no mention of the fight being on ESPN.
News in the sport of boxing is ever fluid and ever-changing, so I won't jump to conclusions just yet. It's possible that in the coming days and weeks to come leading up to the fight, maybe ESPN will be involved? I don't know, but I do think it would be strange if they weren't.
ESPN is Top Rank's broadcast partner, and we all know that Top Rank has been invested in the career of Tyson Fury for some years now. It really would be a strange turn of events if you're showing it on TNT, you're showing it on Sky Sports, you're showing it on DAZN, but you're not showing it on ESPN.
Less hands in the cookie jar, I guess.
There's mud in your eye. I mean, you could argue that Tyson Fury's ascent has everything to do with Top Rank's investment in that fighter and trying to make him a household name, only so that the undisputed title fight rolls around and they're not involved, their broadcast partner, they're not going to air it?
Well, they don't really need them. If you consider that DAZN operates not just in America, but in several, and I mean several territories, more than ESPN, do they actually need ESPN to be involved?
Even if they are the biggest sports network in America, America is just one market, just one territory.
But I do wonder what this does with Top Rank and ESPN, if they're not going to be showing that on their platform.
Alexander Usyk, ahead of the match, was quoted as saying, "I really don't think about Tyson Fury. I don't look at the way he acts and what he does. Most of his opponents fell for it. I don't. I don't care about what Fury thinks about me. He can underestimate me. He can overestimate me. I don't care. I have my plans for him."
It's the quiet confidence that gets me.
He doesn't need to make a show of it. Grand gestures and grandstanding. Leave that to Tyson Fury. That's his department. Talking himself up and talking about this and talking about that.
Go ahead, Chatterbox. You can say whatever you want. You've got the gift of gab. You're the guy with the silver tongue.
Usyk doesn't say as much, but what he does say, he does mean. I've been preparing for this fight for a few years now. Since he beat Vladimir, Usyk said of the upcoming historic fight with Fury, he didn't know about me back then because I wasn't famous in the world of boxing, but I have been preparing for him and Anthony Joshua from the very beginning, since I have started professional boxing.
It's almost like he knew that it would come down to these two, Fury and Usyk. But while Fury was reveling in his success and his newfound fame, Usyk was in the shadows, preparing.
Just a few passing thoughts.
What?
This fight,
What?
it doesn't actually belong to Queensbury.
No.
Doesn't belong to Top Rank either. Perhaps that's why ESPN wasn't mentioned as one of several platforms that are supposed to be distributing this show.
No.
This fight doesn't actually belong to them. It doesn't belong to Top Rank.
No.
Doesn't belong to Matchroom, even though DAZN are involved.
Don't belong to them. It belongs to the Saudis because they're the ones paying to make it happen. They're bankrolling the show. The fight is happening on their dime.
Though I'd wager that Queensbury, they're going to get a piece of the action. They're going to get their cut because they do promote Tyson Fury. I think the people at Top Rank, they're going to get a piece of the action as well because they promote him here in America. They'll get a piece of the action, but it's not their fight.
Though I guess they didn't think it necessary to also involve ESPN to help to distribute this fight.
The reason might be that the Americans are not actually invested in seeing a Brit versus a Ukrainian, even if it is for the undisputed title fight at heavyweight. You haven't seen an undisputed champion since the days of Lennox Lewis, well over 2 decades ago, but the Americans are highly prejudicial.
Xenophobic.
That's what I've always told you. A lot of these guys that pretend they're big fans of the sport of boxing, they're not actually fans of the sport of boxing. And the content creators they listen to, yet they're not fans of the sport of boxing either.
Of course, what kind of fan wouldn't be excited to see the undisputed title fight in the granddaddy of all weight classes, the heavyweight division?
It's not actually important to many a boxing fan here in the United States who would rather spend their time arguing about Gervonta Davis and Devin Haney, Teofimo Lopez, and Shakur Stevenson. You know, the usual suspects talking about the usual hullabaloo.
The soap opera, the melodrama. How many times do you hear me say that these guys actually like the drama more than the boxing?
I have to admit that when it comes to this fight, I'm in the minority because I'm very much interested in seeing this fight and seeing how it ends, where most other Americans care more about the soap opera and the drama. I'm here for the boxing and the boxing matches.
I'm not here for the he said, she said. That's for the
The Housewives of Atlanta crowd, who would rather spend all their time night and day defending Gervonta Davis and all the fights that he's avoiding their sexual interest in that fighter and living vicariously through them. No, trust me, these guys are not fans of the sport of boxing. And that's all right, because even if a bunch of guys in America aren't interested in this fight, America isn't the center of the boxing universe anyway. In the UK market, the UK boxing scene is a lot more fertile in this era than in previous eras, perhaps even more so than the American market. This is not your father's era of boxing.
needs to be said that you sissified nobody needs you guys anyway. You're not needed to make this a big fight. This is a big fight without you.
You guys swear you're so fucking important, but you're not. Now, as far as the fight itself, and what's supposed to be Tyson Fury's size advantage over Alexander Usyk, Usyk says, we're going to be the ones leaning on Fury to win this. I don't need to be heavy. I need to be fast and quick. You never see a fat wolf in the forest.
Tyson Fury has grown accustomed to being the athletic one, the nimble fighter who's lighter on his feet than a lot of lumbering lummoxes in the heavyweight division. But none of them have the coordination and speed of Alexander Usyk.
To some degree, Tyson Fury is aware of this, as recent images of him in preparation in camp display a much leaner Tyson Fury, a leaner version of him than the version we saw fight Deontay Wilder 3 times. With Deontay, he was trying to outmuscle him, push him back.
Because even if Deontay Wilder is a strong puncher, he's got a strong right hand.
He doesn't actually weigh as much as most other heavyweights. Even though he is long and limber, he's also very slim for a heavyweight, and he can be pushed back. He can be bullied, and he was bullied by Tyson Fury. It's a bit of a tougher assignment to try to do that to Alexander Usyk, who has, by and large, better footwork, better movement, better everything than Deontay Wilder.
Save his power. And even when it comes to power, I think Deontay Wilder's power is big right hand.
Overrated.
I've always thought it's overrated.
Tyson Fury bullied Deontay Wilder by throwing his weight around, though the fact he's so fit and trim ahead of the Alexander Usyk fight leads me to believe that he wants to box him. He wants to move around and create space Force Usyk to be the one that has to close the gap.
Yeah.
He means to set him up for punches.
Yeah.
Set him up for counters. He's not gonna step into his jab and try to bully him, throw his weight around like he did with Wilder. No, he wants Usyk to be the one that has to close the distance, and that's likely why he's so fit and trim in preparation for this match, though as far as preparation, widespread rumors are circulating.
That Jayo Pataya was slapping him up in camp. That Jayo Pataya was whooping his ass.
Former cruiserweight champion Johnny Nelson said, "I'm hearing rumors of what's happening in camp. I'm hearing that he's getting turned over in the gym. I'm hearing these things and I'm thinking, has he taken his eye off the ball or has time caught up with him?" It's entirely possible that because Tyson Fury, he's younger than Alexander Usyk, but he doesn't actually take care of himself like Alexander Usyk. Let's not beat around the bush.
He doesn't take care of himself. He balloons in weight in between fights. He's an alcoholic, a cocaine addict, a substance abuser.
And while you might be more coordinated than your average lumbering lummox in today's heavyweight division, you're not more coordinated than Alexander Usyk. What advantages work for Tyson Fury against most other heavyweights, he won't have those advantages over Usyk. In fact, the only advantage that he'll have is that he is taller and he is longer than Usyk.
But I don't think he's faster or lighter on his feet.
No.
Not as light on his feet as Usyk. You're lighter than most other heavyweights, but you're not lighter on your feet than this guy.
And I don't think you have a better engine than this guy. When this guy says that he's been getting ready for you for years, that he knew it would come down to him and you, I believe him.
Because he's not a chatterbox like you are. He doesn't say things to get reactions the same way that you do.
Let's be honest. If not for the Saudis paying Tyson Fury to do this thing, to go through with it, we wouldn't be here now. That's the only reason I think we're getting this fight. I won't discredit Tyson Fury completely. I do think he is one of the more skilled heavyweights in this era, but he's not everything that he's made out to be. Not for beating a complacent Vladimir Klitschko in his late 30s or an unskilled, overzealous Deontay Wilder 3 times.
He's always been selective from the very beginning. And I don't think he really wanted this fight, but the Saudis offered him so much money to do it. How could he not do it?
I think that Alexander Usyk is going to wear him down and wear him out, because even if he's not the biggest puncher, he has a way of draining his opponent's energy reserves by forcing them to work and forcing them to fight at his pace.
Lesser fighters than Alexander Usyk have put Tyson Fury down.
On that premise, I don't rule out the possibility that Alexander Usyk might put him out.